If you're the one who want to start learning English from zero, then this episode is just right for you because today Fatma and I are going to talk about the best study plan for English beginners, especially in 2024. And it may also align with your resolution in the beginning of 2024. And to talk about it, as always, I'm already joined here with the one and only Fatma. How have you been? How's it going, Fatma?
I'm doing very well. How is your New Year, Jazz?
My New Year, it's amazing because
Okay.
we spend the time together with the family. We have like family gathering at the beginning of this New Year. And what about yours?
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Well, I spend my New Year Eve by sleeping all the time to gain more energy to supply 1 year journey, especially in learning English.
Yeah, that is
All
why
right.
if you guys want to start learning English from the scratch, especially in the beginning of this 2024, so let us welcome 2024 with no motivation to study, to start. Maybe you find something difficult in your previous years, but now if you want to start from zero, from the beginning, then this is just the right episode for you guys.
All
All right,
right. Okay.
Fatma, talking about learning English from nothing, I believe you had already done a lot of things from experience. Learning English for years. If you could suggest, if you could say something to the viewers and for everybody who want to start learning English from the very beginning, what would it be, according to you, Fatma, from learning from experience?
Okay, let me start with the very foundation building. Okay,
Oh yeah.
let me tell you a story. Well, just I find many English language learner, especially the adult one who just want to learn English. They tend to what's that? They just want to jump into mastering English. They just want to master or to speak English fluently, flawlessly, without any hindrance, and ignoring learning alphabet. Maybe they think learning alphabet is a little bit trivial because it belongs to what's that, kindergarten student, young learner student. But to me personally, learning alphabet is also important. Why? In addition to learn or to understand English alphabet itself, I can use the alphabet as a strategy in communicating with others. Say, for example, when I'm trying to say something and my audience cannot understand what I'm saying, sometimes I spell the word. And in this case, I'm going to help my audience to help you. And at the same time, sometimes my audience will give me corrective feedback how to pronounce the word. So in this case, learning alphabet and also how to spell the words is very useful for me. Or maybe our audience here is travel a lot. And when we travel to another country, the immigration officer sometimes ask us several questions, and this question might be trivial. They ask us about our name and how to spell the name. For example, maybe the name like Karim in the past, it was just spelled Karim, but today, especially name that belong to Z generation, Karim can be spelled Karem or Karym and so on. So I think learning alphabet and also how to spell it is also important. It is trivial, but this is very useful for you. Not only provide you with the knowledge of alphabetic English alphabet, but also can equip you with communication strategies, just like what I have mentioned previously. So when you are trying to say the word and your audience cannot understand your pronunciation, you can spell the word. Do you have something to say about this, Jess?
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of us try to overlook this alphabet, which is the very foundational actually in learning any language. And I still remember the first time when I learned English, my English teacher like introduced me to this alphabet, which Yeah, as you said earlier, as you said initially, that it sounds very trivial, but it's plays such huge and important roles, especially when spelling things. Yeah, take for example, if you're an adult, just like Fatma said, and then you go somewhere else and then asking your name how to spell, then if you failed, you fail in this.
Yeah.
If you failed to spell your own name, what would it be?
Yep, yep. You might be end up in jail, maybe, yes, maybe, but that's the worst, I guess. All right. And in addition to learning alphabet
Mhm.
and also how to spell the alphabet, especially those who just what's that, who want to jump into to be fluent in speaking English, I think what's that, try to sharpen how to pronounce the word is also important. And in today's life, I think learning how to pronounce the word is not as hard as it was. Everybody has mobile phone today, right? So you
Yep.
just need to open up your mobile phone and open Google. You do not need, what's that, any other application or language learning application. You just need Google, and then put the word that you want to learn how to pronounce it in the Google, and then Google will provide you how to pronounce it. Even Google will make slow motion, so you will catch the pronunciation clearly. And even Google also give you an opportunity to practice it and give feedback whether your pronunciation already on track, or you still need some improvement. Do you have any other idea or any other way to learn pronunciation, Jazz?
Well, repetition in this case. So we
Okay.
put more practice on repetition, especially because you're a beginner. We do suggest, because now we have a number of resources everywhere. You can be easily be connected to native English speakers pronunciation right away by using your smartphone, and then uh,
Okay.
pronunciation have two major pronunciation, like British and American, and each dictionary has now provide those two
Yeah.
types of pronunciation, depends on your preference. Yeah, so from the start, from the get-go, I think if you want to start learning a pronunciation and then you don't know which accent or which
Yeah.
what is it, preference you want, just find it which works best for you, whether it's American or British, without even thinking the difference between the two. I
Yes.
think.
Don't get confused with the two. Yeah, maybe to
Yep.
some extent later on you can learn more specific which one is British and which one is the American. But today for beginner, maybe you just can ignore them. Am I right, Jazz? Because if
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
stick on that differences, you will not move on for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
And
think Fatma, and also, which is the foundation building, apart from learning pronunciation or basic pronunciation and alphabet, um, maybe like greetings and other common phrases that is um, commonly used in English, for example, like
yeah.
the way how to say, greeting in, so to say good morning, and
Yes.
then to
Yes.
say goodbye.
Yeah.
I think this is really foundational, I think. What do you say
Yeah.
about this?
Again, it
Mhm.
sounds trivial, right? But we know good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and so on. But sometimes we misuse this what's it, this expression. For example, in English culture, we say good morning when it is in 5 a.m. until 12 p.m. So when it is still at 11 a.m., we still say good morning, not good afternoon. But Indonesians tend to use good afternoon at 11 a.m. And good afternoon usually used after 12 p.m. until 6 p.m. when the sun goes down, and then you use good evening after the sun goes down after 6 minutes. And remember that goodbye is not salutation, it is not greeting. Goodbye is used when you want to say goodbye, when you want to go to sleep, so you say good night, not what's that. So when you meet people, for example, at 9 p.m., in the evening you do not say good night. It means that you say goodbye. Okay, I just remember, I don't know whose song is that, maybe Justin Bieber. The song is about the party. Justin Bieber say, "Good gentlemen, good night, and ladies, good morning." Means that Justin Bieber want to say good night. I don't know whether Justin Bieber or somebody else want to say good night to gentlemen and good morning to what's that, to ladies. Means they just the party just get started. Okay. Yeah, trivial. Again, this sounds trivial, but again, sometimes we still misuse this expression. And even number jazz. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is simple thing. Yep. Why? Because yeah, we what's that? We integrate this in our daily life, right? Start to learn the cardinal number and the ordinal number, right? Because there is a little bit different, even though sometimes in speaking it doesn't affect the whole meaning, sometimes still can be understood, but it is important to you to know the difference between the cardinal number and ordinal number. For example, how to say date, for example. So this is the 1st January and blah blah blah, not 1 January, just like that. Or when we are talking about this, when we are talking about floor, level of building, just. So Indonesian tend to say, when this is the building, we say lantai satu, and we literally translate into English, this is the first floor. Well, actually, this is not the first floor, but this is the ground floor, and the first floor actually the one level above the ground floor. Yeah, this is not what's that, not that important, but sometimes it creates misunderstanding, especially when you go to hotel, for example. When you go to mall, you ask where blah blah blah, while the officer tells you the first floor. In your interpretation, the first floor belong to the building that stand on the ground. Well, it has different meaning. What do you say about this?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Understanding like numbers,
Yes.
colors, may sound once again may sound very trivial, but it really builds your vocabulary. It rebuilds your English from day to day. And Fatma, if I may ask you, for the foundation building in this case, because we're talking about the best study plan, how long, according to you, will it take? For example, if we have like we have now in January in 2024, and we
Okay.
plan for the year, how long will it be? It ideally, according to you,
Well, I
for the
guess
foundation. Yeah,
I don't have any idea the ideal time, because everyone has their own time, right? But
yeah,
what I want to say to our audience here is that in learning English, please trust the process. Don't be so quick. You expect something in instantly. People say, let alone learning language, when we want to make an instant noodle, we also need time, right? Okay, maybe um, 3 to 4 months. Does it take too long for 3 2 months for the foundation?
well, I think it makes sense. It makes sense. It
Yeah,
depends
yeah.
on how actually you study the language and how you practice your language. But if you're like totally focused and then you really committed, it can be like it can be two
A
months.
month?
So
Yeah,
so the
can
first two
be.
months you studied the greetings directly right away
Yes,
without thinking about the grammar and stuff. You
yes.
learn how to say the in conversation, and
Yeah, yeah.
then you learn the phrases right away. You learn the greetings, how to use greetings in common places, in common in public places, for example, and other common greetings and phrases. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it depends on yeah it
The
depends on
person.
yeah it depends on the person and the individual. And I love what you say. Trust the process. It doesn't
Yes.
happen overnight, right?
Yeah, yeah. You have mentioned it many times, right? And the most important one in building as the foundation here is that we build our confidence to speak up. So to get that confidence, we need these small things, these tiny things, right? As the foundation, we can start this with these small things like learning the alphabet, learning the vocabulary, and trivial expression like greeting and parting and so on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Next, the
yeah.
next level of
And
learning English.
yeah, after you have your foundation building, probably you need to know it further. I mean, you need to go further, like understanding the basic vocabulary
Yes.
and grammar, right? What I'm saying here in grammar in this case is not complicated or intricate
Yes.
grammatical rules, but maybe it's basic grammar. And what, Fatma, would you please do the honor to let us know what actually we need to do in this level in developing basic vocabulary and basic grammar or structures?
Well, again, learning vocabulary, grammar, and speaking. Actually, we cannot. What's that? We cannot learn it separately. It will be better if we integrate this. I mean, like this. When you learn vocabulary, you also immerse this vocabulary in daily use. So you just not learn a vocabulary as a single thing, but you integrate it in other skill like speaking and writing, right? And what was that? What was your question? Sorry, I'm lost.
Yeah.
About the grammar, I
Mm,
remember now.
yeah.
About the basic grammar, you can start from yourself. Might be starting simple grammar, just like giving instruction. Because when you are giving instruction, you just need to put a verb without any addition, just like go, open the door, eat, sleep, and so on. And then you can also start about yourself. I sleep, I eat, I blah blah blah. Because you just need to put subject here, you as as a subject, and the verb that reflect your daily activity. Just start from the daily activity first. And what about you, Jazz?
Yeah. Basic grammar structures. It can be very challenging, especially when when your native language, has like different structure to English. For example, if you're an
Exactly.
Arabic, if you're an Arab, the structure is completely different. So this can be challenging, or another language like Ukrainian language or Russian language, they are completely different in a way how the words are conjugated each other, in a way how what is it the sentence were what is it will build up. So it can be really challenging, but don't worry about this at the beginning, because as you used
Yes.
to what is it to English, how the sentence pattern in English, you will automatically learn this, because
Yes.
a lot of English learners try to avoid from learning grammar because they thought
Yeah.
that grammar is
This is
something really
scary.
difficult, scary,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and most of the time it like you know blocks us or
Yeah.
get in our way, and it gets in our way
Yes.
to being fluent, because it's
Yep.
holding us from being fluent with
Yep.
we thought for multiple times whether what I'm saying is grammatically correct or not. But don't worry about those things, right? So
Yep.
basics, grammar and structures in this sense, in this case, will only what is it the purpose is only to help you conjugate the words, put in the right order.
Agree.
It doesn't have to be perfect as native English speakers, because
Yes.
you're still the
Yes.
beginner, so don't worry,
Yes. You are
right?
forgiven.
You're
Yeah. And maybe this is not grammar that hold you back from speaking, that hold you back from practicing or using English in your daily life. Maybe this is your perfection. So try to be less perfect than in speaking. In this case, is learning English. Try to minimize your perfection to get your perfection.
yeah.
And how do you learn vocabulary? Or maybe you can, what's that? You can share new tips, new days tip to learn vocabulary.
All right. In our previous video, we talked a little bit detailed about this, and if you guys want to check out, just head over the previous video. But
Okay.
let me highlight vocabulary, because this is the component of the language that builds the language.
All right.
It's a must for everybody.
Yes.
And if you're a beginner, we do suggest that you're not learning word by word translation from your native language to English. For example, in Bahasa Indonesia, we often, memorize like individual word or individual vocabulary. For example, like you learn the word go, which means in Bahasa Indonesia pergi, and then you list isolated words.
Yes.
We do recommend that if you're a beginner and then you want to learn vocabulary, try to learn the phrase. I mean, how the collocation of the word itself. And to learn vocabulary, I think if you're not used to reading because you're still in the beginner, maybe you can listen to your favorite song, right? Or you
Yeah.
can listen to your favorite TV series, or
Yep.
you
Yep.
can watch your favorite Netflix movies or
And
whatever.
even
And
or
mhm,
even don't be shy to listen to what's that children's song,
children's
children book,
song,
and so
yeah,
on. Yeah, because why? Because this is simpler than
yeah,
what's that? Maybe than what's that popular song, because the language is very simple and there are many repetition that might help you to improve your vocabulary and what's that? Remind you how to pronounce the word because it is repeated many times. Usually, what's that? Children's song and book song has got many repetition.
okay. So, in basic vocabulary and grammar, you focus on everyday vocabulary, basic grammar structure, and also focus on the simple conversation, which may be taking more than 3 months and practicing. So now all of these phases actually, all this the phase, it happens simultaneously. It's
Yeah.
not layer by layer, but it happens
Yes.
simultaneously,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's not step by step process.
Yeah.
So, because language is part of our culture, is part of our identity. So sometimes we learn not step by step process,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
in foundational, what we learn from our experience is that we study this like everyday vocabulary, basic grammar
Yeah.
structures, and simple conversation. Yeah, and
Immerse them in daily life. For example,
exactly.
you engage to what's that daily conversation. You might meet your friends, just use the vocabulary, simple expression like hi, good morning, and then goodbye, and so on. You do not need to speak English from the very beginning to the end of your meeting. You just can use English when you are what's that when you greet them, and then you can use your what's that native language, and then when you want to take a leave, when you want to say goodbye, you can use English again. Just that simple, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once you have achieved this, we consider you're in A1 or A2, and then you have the identity, like you feel the English already with you, and then
Yeah.
English is becoming your new identity. Now you
Yes.
can expand your skills. Now,
Yes.
this is quite challenging because you're moving forward to the B1 level or B2 level or even C1. It depends. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
depends. So,
Yep.
Fatma, now we'll talk about the next phase, the next level of learning English. It's time for you. Let's say that you have the identity already. You can talk to somebody. Maybe
Okay.
in the first 8 months, you made a simple conversation. Now it's time for you to expand the skills and
Yeah.
knowledge. How to expand skills and knowledge, Fatma?
Well, maybe in a basic level, in the second, fourth month, or in the what's that? A second semester. Oh no, it's still the first semester, right? In the second semester, you can start what's that to expand it by talking or learning something which is little bit out of you, just like hobbies, and then your
Mm,
surroundings, and then your family, your friends, and so on. So at the very basic level, you talk about yourself, right? And then for the next level, you start to talk about hobbies and friends and so on. Do you have something to say, Jess?
yeah, or even you can be interested in reading something, and then
Mm-hmm.
you might be able to write, one or two sentences.
Yes.
Yeah, or even you're reading a children's book and something like that. You're
Mm-hmm.
now expanding, not just what is it? not only learning that like the greetings every time, but you you what is it? You develop, you expand your skills
Yes.
in reading and writing as well.
Or maybe when you are in basic level, when you talk about yourself in writing, you write what's it, your personal journal. In this level, you might start to communicate with others both in spoken and written manner. For example, when you want to send an invitation to your friends, or you want to send birthday card, try to what's that, to use English in your what's that, in the card, and also in the invitation. So this is I think small things that the way how to integrate English to the next level.
Yeah,
Still
exactly.
simple one. So you do not need
Yeah.
to write a complicated letter application and then journal or an article, not journal. Might be belong to very personal, but you do not need to write or read an article now. Just a simple one, just like note, maybe just a thank you note, and what else? Anything, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we sum up over here from foundation, from basic vocabulary, and also expanding, it may more or less it will be taking like a year probably.
Yep.
It
Yep.
depends. Yeah, it depends.
Depends. It
Yeah,
depends.
it depends because language is a skill you need to sharpen every single day, every single time. You need to be living with English, right? If you want
Yeah.
to master the language.
And
Um,
language is a habit.
yeah, language is a habit.
Yep, yep. And one thing that I want to say again, Jazz, as you mentioned previously, we can listen to English song, we can read a book. Guys, well, this is what I learned actually. So speaking fit of listening, so it is quite impossible you are able to speak when you never to listen to English language. So and also writing fit of reading, so it will be quite hard for you to write something if you never read a book or if you never read a text. So
Yeah.
reading and listening is the receptive skill which nourish your ability to speak and to write, that nourish your ability to communicate both spoken and written to your audience. So don't, what's that, again, just like what I just mentioned previously, we do not learn this separately. Actually, this is one things, the whole things. So when we want to speak, actually we need to listen first. When we listen, don't stop listen. You also need to practice what you have listened. That's it. What I'm trying to say. I hope you catch what I mean.
Exactly, it's really clear enough. So we consider in this level maybe you can be reaching like B1 or B2 level, and once you're there, once you're in the intermediate, now it's time for you to challenge yourself, or even myself, or even Fatma herself, I believe,
Yeah.
to
I
expose to cultural exposure. This is
yes.
really, really challenging, guys, because
Yeah.
there is. I read an article, Fatma, that language skills does not consist only for. You know,
Uh-huh.
as we often know that commonly we know this basically like listening, reading, writing, reading, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. But we have like the fifth language skill, which is
Yes.
cultural awareness, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you don't expose to the culture, yeah, we cannot say that we are good at English. Actually, they're
Yep.
not. They cannot be separated each other.
Separated.
Um, so language forms the culture, and vice versa. So language is part of the culture itself. Understanding in the highest what is it, highest proficiency of English is that understanding the culture or
Yes.
cultural immersion in this case. That is why
Yep.
sometimes we
Yep.
do not understand the jokes. We don't understand
Yeah.
the yeah whatever happened. Like when some even we understand English, 100% understand English, but
If
when
you
we
don't
talk to
understand the
somebody, yeah,
culture,
we do not understand the culture. We fail to Yeah, sometimes when everybody was laughing and then we don't laugh, what happened to
We
us?
just numb.
We just numb. What
Yeah,
do you think about this,
yep,
Fatma? And I believe Fatma
yeah.
and I are
Ex-
still experiencing
Learning.
this, learning, right?
Yeah, we are still
Uh,
learning about the cultures. Yes, exactly. Just like the way how we see time, as I mentioned previously, that in Indonesia, at what's that, at 10 and 11 a.m. already considered noon, but to what's that, to English people, I mean to American people, to British people, it's still in the morning. So yeah, this different perception also contribute to different culture. So by understanding their culture, we also know how to use the language properly. Just like the concept of family, just to Indonesian culture, family means father, mother, daughter, son, and then uncle, auntie, grandma, grandpa, and so on. That's family because, yeah, we belong to that culture. But to Western culture, especially where English is spoken, family is the only the what's that, the core. Only father, mother, and then children. That's it. So like aunt, and then what's it, uncle, and so on, that belong to relative. They are relative, not family. But here everybody, what our neighbors is also family,
yeah,
right?
even we often say welcome to the new family.
Okay, yeah, learning the culture, maybe it is still hard, not only for you, this is still hard for me. So let's learn together. And the best way to learn the culture, what do you do the best way to learn the culture?
To learn the culture, what I used to do is, for example, because I love what is it? I love watching
Mm-hmm.
and listening to podcasts. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I learn
Yeah, I see.
how they talk. For example, this New Year, right? This New Year, I
Mm-hmm.
learn for people out there how did they like celebrate the New
Mm-hmm.
Year, and then the common phrase used in New Year's Eve,
Oh,
for
I
example,
see.
or
Okay.
or any topic that might be cross-cultural relationship between your culture and the culture of English-speaking countries like the
Yep.
U.S., like or in England itself. For
Mm-hmm.
example, like camping. Camping is not quite familiar here in Asia, in Indonesia, but for people in the US, camping is done almost quite often. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
during the summer holiday, they often go camping, and then
Mm-hmm.
they like toasting, what is that called, marshmallow and stuff. So
Yeah.
this part of the culture that we don't belong to them. We
Yep.
don't know. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
because we're
Mm-hmm.
not experiencing the same thing that
Mm-hmm.
they're used to do, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
how I learn. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess to me,
Uh,
maybe because I belong to the one who can learn something through experience. The best
mm-mm.
thing to learn the culture is by experiencing the cultures. You need to come to the country, right? If you have a lot of money, you need to come to the country. And I witness how people live there, and I witness how the culture is cultivated there. But unfortunately, not all of us have got the money to go abroad and to experience the culture. I think we can use the internet today. Just Google what you want to know and to learn and watch, and then just like what you do, just what's that? We observe and we notice how they what's that? How they live, how the expression they use, and then their habits and so on. Right? You see, American in summer camp they roast marshmallow, but in Indonesia we
Marshmallow.
roast corn.
Corn.
The same way, different things. Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
But everyone, this is a caveat. We don't have to be culturally involved in
Yeah,
learning because now we have the
yeah.
term, Fatma, like the global citizen. Because
Yes.
we are still human, there is one
Mm-hmm.
common shared values
Yes.
as a human, right? In
Mm-hmm.
having like a relationship with people around the globe. So don't worry, because there are a lot of people who successfully learn English and they made it successfully, and also elevate their professionals without even living in English speaking countries.
Yeah. Yes.
By
Yes.
only living in their home country, we can
Yes.
still develop English, because we have like standard English, and we have like global. We are as the global citizens. We
Yes.
understand the barriers of our culture. It's not
Yep.
always important to know a specific culture of a specific
Yep.
country.
Yep. Yep. Even though you are staying at home, you still can be connected with other people from the other part of the world.
All right. Hope, guys, today's episode can be inspiring for you. If you want to start learning English from nothing, from zero, I mean, just go ahead. Don't worry about making mistakes. Don't worry about how long you will take. As Fatma said
Yeah.
earlier, and then trust the process.
Yeah.
And to wrap up today,
You.
Fatma, would you please say something?
What did I want to say? All right. So yeah, let's start from zero, and we do not need to end up as a hero. Okay. What the most important
Love
one
that.
is, what's that? Yeah, just learn English. Just let it flow. We do not know where it will end. Just keep learning English, no matter what.
Yeah. So if you ask me how long does it take, it will take forever, right?
Oh yes, exactly. All right.
Okay, guys, as we wrap up today's episode in English, and we hope you have enjoyed the journey with us. And before we go, if you have something to say, just leave us your thoughts and
Yeah.
comments below. We'd love to hear from you, and may give you a shout out in our next episode. Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
See you next time.
Yep.
Keep learning, keep exploring, keep speaking English with confidence.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
2, 3. He.
Yeehaw.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.